It was one of those crystal-clear nights on Willow Pond that I'll never forget. The kind where the water's like a mirror, reflecting every star. You think life's finally settled into something peaceful after all those years hustling in the Navy. But nope. That's when the HOA decided to torpedo my world, literally sinking my boat right there in the slip while I watched it all unfold on my security cam, helpless as they cut the lines and yanked the plugs, speeding off like shadows as she started gulping water. I stood there in the dark, heart pounding, realizing these weren't just nosy neighbors, they were bullies with badges, thinking they could play God because I dared to keep my grandfather dock rights. And damn if that didn't light a fire in me, a retired engineer who knows a thing or two about backups and battles. How do you flip an $85,000 drowned dream into a $22 million smackdown on corruption? Buckle up, 'cause this is how I turned their sneak attack into their undoing. Let me take you back to that morning it all kicked off. I just poured my coffee, stepped out on the deck overlooking the pond, that soft mist rising like a whisper of promise after 3 decades fixing engines on carriers, finally claiming my quiet corner in this gated community up in the hills of Evergreen Shores. The Eagle, one of those sturdy 20-foot runabouts I'd rebuilt with my own hands, every bolt a memory, sat there in her slip, same as the old owners had for decades, deeded right into my property title, no questions asked when I bought the place. But then I spot this crisp white notice taped to her windshield, all official with the HOA's fancy crest, barking about non-compliant mooring and giving me 48 hours to haul her out or else, common area violation, they called it, like my slip was suddenly public property overnight. My gut twisted. I knew this wasn't random. See, Susan Hargrove, the HOA president, had it out for me from day one. Turns out, the previous owner was her uncle, and she'd been eyeing that slip for her cronies, some shady land grab wrapped in bylaws, fueled by her ego and a grudge because I politely turned down her welcome committee invite, saying I preferred my solitude. I peeled off the tape, folded the paper, and headed inside, calm on the outside but boiling underneath. Navy training kicks in, assess, document, act. I dug out my closing docs, photocopied the grandfather clause, signed and notarized, then rang the HOA office. "Hey, this is Tom Reynolds over on Pondview Lane," I said, keeping it steady. "Got this notice on my boat, seems like a mix-up 'cause the slip's mine. Got the papers right here. Happy to drop 'em by." The lady on the line, voice like stale bread, taps away forever before sighing, "Mr. Reynolds, the board's logged a complaint about cluttering the view or something." "From who?" I pressed, but she just mumbled about reviewing the file and clicked off. No invite to talk, no nothing, just a brush off that screamed they weren't playing fair. Later that day, I catch sight of Susan's patrol boat creeping along the shore, her with binoculars glued to her face and her muscle, Mike Barrow, snapping pics like he's on some stakeout, whispering conspiratorially, her lips curling in that smug way. It hit me then, this wasn't about rules, it was personal, her flexing control, maybe jealousy I'd snagged the spot she'd wanted for her inner circle, turning the community into her little fiefdom. The clock ticked down those 48 hours with eerie quiet, no trucks, no follow-up, and for a fool's moment, I thought maybe they'd backed off after seeing my docs. But nah. That night, around midnight, my phone buzzes with a motion alert from the dock cam I'd rigged up, paranoid engineer style. I pull up the feed, and there they are, Susan's wiry frame at the helm of the HOA skiff, lights off, gliding in like thieves. Mike's bulky shadow leaning over my Eagle. "Do it quick," I hear her hiss through the grainy audio, sharp as a knife. Mike flashes a blade, snip, snip, severing the stern lines, then dips his arm underwater, yanking the bilge plugs with a grunt, that deliberate twist only someone who knows boats would make. "That'll teach him," he mutters, chuckling low as they shove her out into the deeper channel, engine purring to life as they vanish into the black. I bolted out, barefoot, across the grass, splashing into the cold muck up to my knees, grabbing at the drifting hull, but she was already listing, stern dipping like a wounded animal, water rushing in, gurgling as the engine compartment flooded. By the time I waded back, shivering, all that poked up was her bow, mocking the moon. I dialed the cops right there on the dock, dripping and furious. I've got video, names, the whole sabotage. Dispatcher yawns, anyone hurt? Sounds civil, sir. HOA stuff. Click. Hung up like I was the nuisance. Next day, my mechanic buddy Hank rolls up, whistles at the wreck. Tom, this ain't no accident. Plugs pulled. That's malice, pure and simple. Salvage and rebuild. 85 grand, easy. His words hardened something in me, grief turning to steel. This wasn't just my boat, it was my peace they drowned, all 'cause Susan saw me as a threat to her iron-fisted reign, manipulating fines and favors to keep folks in line, scared silent. But I wasn't built to roll over. Navy taught me procedure, and procedure's my weapon. I holed up in my office, turning it into a war room. Backed up that footage 3 ways, hard drive, cloud, safe, like classified intel. Pulled crystal clear stills of Susan's smug glare under the helm light, Mike's blank face mid-plug pull. Dug into HOA records online, found their logs riddled with fraud, copy-paste violations, stamped signatures, pixel-perfect fakes, a system rigged for her vendettas. My neighbor, Bill Heron, a grizzled army vet next door, slips me an email printout one night. Found this by the shredder. Thought you'd want it. It's from Susan to her treasurer, Laura Finch. His docs are airtight, but we'll make him comply one way or another. Venom dripped from every word, her motive crystal now, pure power trip, resenting my independence in her controlled pond paradise. I drafted a demand letter, cool as ice, pay up for the damage, $110,000, face the tape. Sent it certified. Next morning, it's ripped in half on my mat, a taunt saying, we don't care. Fight us. Bagged it as evidence. Called my old Coast Guard pal, Jim Caldwell. Explain this like I'm a landlubber jury. He lays it out, pulling those plugs. No accident. It's sabotage 101, intent written all over. Affidavit in hand. Then the gold, an invoice for a dive team retainer, dated pre-sink, $2,200, premeditated cleanup for their crime. Insurance coughed up $45,000, calling it vandalism outright, but they hit back hard, bogus fines for my porch light being too bright, my hedge an inch over code, harassment to bleed me. Susan posts on the forum, disruptors like him will regret challenging us. Threat, plain as day. Worse, a foreclosure notice for those fines, $600 total. Lose my house over pettiness. Her endgame, crush me financially, protect her empire. Then vandalism, tires slashed, garage tagged, drown next. Fear flickered, but doubt. Nah, that fueled the fire. Time to strike back, no more defense. I compiled it all, binders thick as bricks, videos, affidavit, fraud logs, even a leaked clip from Mike's phone, him grinning post-sink, mission sunk, with Susan off camera, gravity wins every time, now scram. Sent packages overnight, to their insurer, highlighting the crime exclusion clause that had tanked their coverage, to the DA, gift-wrapped felony case, to the AG for systemic abuse, and to Channel 7's top reporter, the story too juicy to ignore. Boom. Next night, news blasts, HOA tyranny exposed, veterans boat sunk in vendetta. They aired the audio, Susan's voice barking, cut him loose, unmasking her to thousands. Phones lit up, neighbors spilling years of terror, fines for bird feeders, threats over kids' toys, all under her thumb, a web of control to fund her perks like that fancy clubhouse remodel. The board crumbled. Laura flipped, singing about cooked books. Cops reopened, indicted on 12 counts, destruction, conspiracy, fraud. I watch from my window as cruisers pulled up to Susan's McMansion. You're under arrest. Her face crumples. This is outrageous. I'm in charge here. Cuffs clicking like sweet justice as the news cam rolled, her empire shattering in real time. Mike went quietly at the clubhouse, vest sagging like defeat. Trial. Slam dunk. Class action followed, 68 homeowners joining, nailing $22 million in damages. HOA bankrupt, dissolved, assets sold off. My new boat, the River Hawk, bobs in that same slip now, sunset painting the pond gold, flag snapping crisp, peace earned, not given. But here's the thing that lingers, was it all worth the toll? The nights doubting if fighting bullies just breeds more chaos, or if silence lets them win bigger. Makes you wonder about power in these tight-knit spots. Justice served, sure, but at what hidden cost to the soul? What about you, ever tangled with an HOA nightmare or seen corruption up close? Drop your stories below. Tell me if you'd fight back or walk away. Hit like if this fired you up. Subscribe for more real talk tales, and share if it reminds you of your own battles. Let's chat, your turn.